4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon and greetings to all my listeners and viewers out there and the Primal 4K Upfit FM 96.7, Facebook, YouTube, the whole World Wide Web. I want to welcome you all to Primal Sports Sense. I'm your host, Dale.
And I'm Kane the Shrub Watson. Again, you know what time it is. It's time for Primal Sports. And we have an interesting lineup. And it has been an interesting week in sports.
Yes.
And I mean, we have a rundown for the show. We have a special guest.
Yes, this week we'll have bronze medal winner at the Pan Am Games in Chile. Recently concluded on November the 5th. Dahlia Palmer from Jamaica. Creating history down there in Chile.
She won her first medal for the games, and that jumpstart things. And you know, always to get that first medal at these multi-sport games. And she was the first medalist for Jamaica in the 19th Pan Am Games. And it was a close finish because at the end there, you know, she was wondering if she finished second or third, but she knew she was on the podium, and tears of joy, you know, and that came with a lot of
controversy
or feedback leading up to the championships. But you know, later on in the show, we'll talk to her on her journey in the sport of cycling and where it all started to where it is now. And I mean, she's a stalwart for the sport, representing Jamaica, flying the flag high. And we don't hear much of cyclists, although we have known to have cyclists in the past.
David Weller
back in the past. So it's good to continue the tradition.
I think he was the first Olympic medalist outside of track and field
back in the day.
He's the first and only.
He's
the first and only David Weller.
And she's still on her bid to qualify for the Olympics next year, because she will have 4 events coming up next year. But you know, in the interview, she'll break down all of that for us and give us a roadmap of everything.
Stay tuned, because she has a hot take as well, you know, because we know what's been happening in the scene.
Well, I don't know. I want to hear it from her.
Not her.
I don't want to hear.
We're going even the historical performance from our reggae girls. It came with some controversy as well. And Dahlia have her story that she's going to tell us. Apart from her background story and her medaling and her dreams and aspiration took for qualification for next year Olympics. She will also join us, one of the coaches here from the JCF, the Cycling Federation, that will jump in at the end as well to kind of discuss the whole turmoil, which is that's going on within the Cycling Federation.
Controversy all around. But so what I'm interested in, how she even started in cycling, because even so I don't know much cyclists, although you know they see them on the road and all that. But I find it an interesting sport, and it's grueling, and it's taxing on the body. But
that's a question I really want to hear from her.
So we leave all of those hot takes for the interview that's coming up in about 4 minutes or so.
Yeah, but first thing, people want to make sure they're all right, you know, because we had a little depression that passed over.
Depression, they call it.
We call it a little depression with a lot of water. Not much wind.
A lot of rainfall.
I would say that.
And me as a roadman have to stay in. Can you imagine?
Exactly.
It took me the rain to stay in. A lot of rain. And as a roadman, I didn't even go on the road yesterday.
We see rocks dropping down from mountains.
But we want to make sure that
roads by Garden Town. And we see a whole heap of houses been flooded out. You know, so I hope the people from the west. Down here, our Fit FM people from the west. I hope that you guys are all okay.
I hope everybody out there is okay. Another thing I want to take note on, apart from sports, I mean, I see a lot of people catching strokes and stuff from the other day. Personally, from even within my family. And stroke. I mean, I don't know what's going on. About in the past week or so, I know 5 persons that, you know, caught.
Young or old?
Both. I mean, what is old? I know people in the 30s. People 50, people older. So I mean, people get checked up. Don't be afraid to get your doctor's visit and check up, because health is wealth. And I mean,
and maybe a lot of the problem is, Ken, they need to join a activity
and exercise. You know, so people get out there. That's why sports is good. Sports is not only for people who compete at the highest level of Olympic aspirations. Because me, for myself, I'm retired from table tennis, but I still come around and beat up everybody now and then. Because I mean, it's good for me, and it keeps me healthy to bust a sweat here and there. So that, in its sense, it free up the mind, it get the body moving, and keep your motor skills working. So you keep active. Whether it's for me, it's table tennis. For you, could be cycling. Some people squash, some badminton, some just a light jog, gym, walking. Get
Emancipation
active.
Park. You know,
health is wealth.
Yeah, man.
So,
and you know, kid, I don't like the whole food thing already. You know, the food out there
when
is
you're
wicked.
ready. When you're ready.
Yeah,
when
we're ready. But the food wicked
yeah,
people, so you need to cut down on the amount of food that you consume and be more active.
Yeah, the older you get, it's harder.
I was wondering why them want people to retire. You know, when people retire, that's when they kind of dwindle away and die earlier than when they stay active.
Yeah, that's why people try to hold on to their sport and play as long as they would like. It's the likes of Michael Jordan coming back, Tom Brady playing.
I thought you was going to mention another name, somebody in the studio with us here. You know?
No, I mean, that's the living dinosaur right there. It's straight out of the archives. He won't stop it.
Yeah.
Just the other day I was telling him I have to take my hat off to him for him to come here and play against the people that he plays time and time over.
The same rhythm and pattern again.
I have to take my hat off to him. I can't do it because today I came and play and him choose not to come out and play, and I was like, damn.
I was wondering what was
I'm upset with him. Because he knew I come here to get the good shit.
You're not going to play kid, and him say, boy, him climb about 1,000 steps yesterday.
But him come and apologize to me and tell me that, make sure you come Monday, because he know when I come, we have this little thing where we play, and it's like a chess match, and we enjoy it. So even though we're not playing for the country again, you never can tell, don't worry, we might come out to retirement, but we have this little chess match to go and we play and we entertain each other, and it's good for us. So when him see the big dog show up, him know say, he have a show up and he never show up today, so him owe me one. So him say Monday, So him say Monday. But him come to me one day and say Monday, sure you come Monday, cause so big dog, big dog.
Hey, one thing though, I know it's because of the steps. Him don't want to lose,
Yeah, man, him don't want to lose. Losing don't want to lose. But for me, it's neither here nor there, because when time come, all I do is win, no matter what. But he takes the small victories, I take the big ones. But people, on a serious note, I mean, whether it's joining a gym or finding a partner to walk with, of course, be safe, take precautions, but go out there and do something, some form of activity, whether it's skipping. For me, I'm good at table tennis. I play table tennis.
Let's just remind one of the folks who came that one of the episodes was sponsored by CMOS.
Yeah.
This is something that add minerals and all natural things back to your body that you're losing daily. So along with the exercise, guys, CMOS is also a good beverage. We know it as what? What we know it as out here?
Irish moss.
Yeah.
Because even so, I know this other gentleman in one of my circles. Yeah. He said he's elderly, probably like near 70 thereabouts. He said he just didn't feel well and drive himself to the doctor. And while he was at the doctor, he catch a stroke, a heart attack. And the doctor said if he never drive himself to the hospital, and at that time, he wouldn't survive. Yeah. So even so, if you feel something, get a checkup, go and get yourself checked up, because I mean that's what doctors are there for and study so long, and I mean health is wealth. So do remember, people, take care of yourself out there.
And we know that the rain disturbed. We don't go back to the sports. Rain disturbed the match yesterday. It had to be postponed. They played this morning exactly. So we lost 2-1 to Canada. But anyway, it's time for our cyclist champion. The lady of the moment. Let us welcome Dahlia Palmer to Primal Sports Center. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll kick things off there, because I mean, Jamaica is not known for cycling, and even so, growing up, people tend to play football, cricket, want to do tracks. I mean, to hear of somebody doing cycling, we all want to know where it all started for you in cycling. Why cycling?
When it comes to cycling, I think I would say that when I was going to high school, which is Green Island High School, I was involved in multiple sports. I was even involved in track and field, but that didn't go well. And they always think of me, or when they see me as a little tomboy kind of thing. And when a time I think I saw my mother, she was talking to a gentleman who involved in cycling. And I asked the guy about how can I get involved in the sport. He never really take me serious because, as I said, the sport is not so popular or so forth in the country. So he didn't really take me serious because he said that, female don't really excel in the sport. And I keep asking him like for about a month or two. And I think he probably take me a bit serious. and then he tried and get me involved into a cycling club in Montego Bay. And that is where it all started, and the rest is history.
What age was this?
That was 15 age. 15.
15. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, not too late, but I mean, I can imagine if you started earlier, but then again, your background
not
with
too
other
late
sports.
To start.
Yeah, not too late.
So what was at 15 years old when you started out? What was it like in terms of the training and the initial process of getting involved?
Well, with cycling, I always love bicycle. Even if I'm home in Jamaica and my mother wants to send me to the shop, I would normally want to ride a bike to the shop. Sometimes even when I come home from school, I used to get beaten for riding bicycle and stuff like that. So as I said, I always love bicycle, right? When I started out as a road cyclist, not a track cyclist. And it was always on the road. Even my mother, she didn't really want me to get involved in sports because, at the point in time, as I said, Jamaica don't really know the sport outside of road cycling. And in Jamaica, you're on the road, the vehicles and stuff like that. So she was always scared. And she actually did stop me and is a friend of my mother said, leave her, let she go and ride because you never know what, could come out of it. And I started out, as I said, with the Montego Bay Club. And that's where I started road cycling, riding on the road and everything. And then
your mother wasn't a little bit concerned about you on the road, the cars and accidents.
Yeah, so that is why she did actually stop me from riding in the beginning. And then is a friend of hers said, leave her, you don't know what could become of it. And how I end up in track cycling is my first time was when I went to Trinidad for racing. My first race in Trinidad was track racing as well. And when I get here, that was the first time racing with other females and stuff like that. So I was a bit drawn more to the sport and excited about it, and even learn a next discipline of the sport, which is the track cycling. And from there on, it's like I started to switch my focus. But before that, there was a championship in Jamaica. I think it was in 2012, right? That was my first medal for Jamaica as well. That was the road championship as well. And my coach now, he met me at that event and he was like, what are you doing here? He was like, you're not supposed to be a road cyclist, you're supposed to be a track cyclist because I have the belt and everything like that. And then following year after, I went to Trinidad and then we meet up and that's where everything all started.
Okay, so you went to Trinidad in 2013?
Yes, in 2013.
2013, okay. And that's when the transition from road cycling to track cycling began?
To track cycling started, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we know that you medal in the Kieran event. That's the
Kieran event in the Pan Am Games.
Tell us a little bit about that event specifically.
Yeah, because people, cycling people, we want to know what's the difference between Kieran or different events in cycling. So you could break that down for the non-cycling people.
Okay, so Pan Am Games was all about Olympic events, not an Olympic qualifier, but an Olympic event. At the Olympic in track cycling, you have sprint, Kieran, Omnium, which is an endurance event, and team event. So for my event, which I do on the track, is the sprint part of the sport, which is Kieran and sprinting, which most people might know sprinting as mat sprint.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? And the Kieran event is an event that is 6 laps on the track and is motor paced by a motorbike for 3 laps, then the motorbike swing, and then the 3 lap is where the ride.
You have to reach a certain speed.
We had a cyclist.
Yeah,
what's his name? Lynch.
Back in the early
Ricardo Lynch.
Early 2000s.
That was the same
event, I think.
Yeah, Ricardo Lynch. You know of Ricardo Lynch?
Yes, he was also a sprinter. Yes, I do. Very well. He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
His brother used to play table tennis, so we used to have that at Link. Yes. So,
okay. That's great.
Yeah. So we used to travel on tours with the older group. So we have history with cycling people. But then again, as I said, so you are more in the sprints, which is Kieran and sprinting.
And sprinting. I also do 500, but I don't really race that event international level, which is a time event as well.
Okay. I saw where you won a medal last year at the Caribbean Champions in the 500 kilometer.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Why you say you're not into that?
I know. I don't compete. I know.
Yeah, the endurance thing that too. More you're built for a sprinter.
Well, that is a sprint event as well, but the 500 is a event that where you go from standstill like a gate.
Yeah.
Hold your bike up, and you have to get out of that gate for 2 laps on the track. And as I said, it's a time event, and I don't really like that.
Oh, okay.
Well, so tell me a little about the training for your event. What's the training like?
So, all right. First and foremost, for training, sprints on a whole is mostly about the track and gym. A lot of gym. Lots of gym work, a lot of track work, which we also ride on the road. The road is just for recovery rides or to build something called your base training or your endurance level. On the track now, for the carrying especially, earlier in May, I think in Argentina. Yeah. In Argentina, where I went to the Pan Am Championship, we did both sprint and carrying. After that event, me and my coach sat down and we come to, an agreement that we really want to focus on the carrying, because the carrying is really my pet event. Sprints, I do sprint, but I'm not so, up to par with the sprinting, but the carrying is really my pet event. I love that event. And we decide on, for Pan Am Games, we're gonna put all our focus into the carrying. And in that decision or stuff like that, we realize that we have some, I would say, not mistake, but like faults or something like that. And to work on those problems that we are having. And the training was just mostly about longer efforts on the track, in the gym. And even in that point, all this time riding, I never really have a strength and condition coach. I go to the gym. My coach will also write a gym program as well. But when you get a strength and condition coach, there is weak points that you need to focus on and stuff like that. So it was a plus to actually get a strength and condition coach that is like, I think, before Pan Am Games and Pan Am Championship, probably I'm working with that gentleman like about probably 3 to 4 months. And trust me, when I start working with that guy, she's like, everything just start to fall in place. Like there's like a jigsaw puzzle and you just start to, solve the puzzle and stuff like that. So with that now, start to break barriers, and the training was very rigorous. When I tell you very rigorous, it even have days when, vomiting and stuff like that take place, because we're working on the weak points of our training, and that is what actually put everything together, and Pan Am Games was successful.
Yes. All right. So we know that the Pan Am Games is used as a qualifier for Paris next year.
No, that's a correction. The Pan Am Championship I went to in Argentina was Olympic qualifier. Pan Am Games is not an Olympic qualifier.
Okay. Okay.
So that was in June.
That was in
yes, that was in June.
It was in June, yeah.
So
it was in June.
So is there any other qualification process that can take you to the Olympics, or that was the final one?
For the rest of the year, no. Basically, my season is closed at the moment, but I have 4 more Olympic qualifiers to do. And when I say 4 more Olympic qualifiers, those are 4 events that, for me to make it to Paris, I have to do those 4 Olympic qualifiers.
Okay, so you can't qualify from one, you have to qualify going to all 4.
So for cycling, it's a little complicated, and you have to really be involved in the sport at this level to really understand what I'm going to say. But for this year, of the Olympic qualifiers, and the same 4 that I have next year, I had earlier on in the year. Actually 5 earlier on in the year, which out of the 5, I only get to go to 3 of them out of the 5. which that kind of put me in a position. That's why I said, come next year, I have to do
the four.
Because out of the 5, I didn't do it. Have 3 Nation Cups all over the globe, and I didn't get to do 2. And the 2 that I did was, the first one was in Indonesia, and the third one was in Milton, Canada. The third one I could not do it because of the funding and stuff like that. And it so happened where in Milton I had an accident and I fell. And I didn't get any placing or much of a point per se for Olympic. So that is why come next year I can't afford to miss one of the Olympic qualifiers. I have to do.
It's a case where you amass points from these qualifications. So each
yes, I do.
You amass and you get
so it's
the end of the
correct,
4.
Correct.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So
the 3. So hold on. So the 3 that remain is 3 Nation Cup and my Continental Championship. Out of the 3 Nation Cup that I have to do, the UCI, which is the governing body of cycling, they will take the best 2 results from the 3 Nation Cup. So that is why I have to do. So if I do all 3, even if just word speaking, I finish correct. Earlier on in the year, I did not get to do that because, as I said, I missed one of them. So the one that I fall in, I get no points.
Yeah, because see where you have to go Australia, Hong Kong, LA, and then back to Canada. The Canada one is the regional. That's the one.
Well, no. LA, Los Angeles, and Milton, both of them is regional, but Los Angeles is the Pan American Championship.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I hear you mention funding. You have anything in the pipeline for these upcoming events in terms of sponsorship?
Sponsorship, we are at the moment, with me based in Trinidad, it's a little bit of a challenge because I don't really have a representative in Jamaica who could, reach out to these people, which we're trying to get that put together now.
But what happened to the JCF? Wouldn't they be your representation here or?
Representation.
Yes, because you're trying to qualify to represent Jamaica, so wouldn't they have to play a part in terms of
JCF and the JOA?
For cooperative sponsorship, not really. They don't have to, but like funding probably from the government or the Jamaica Olympic Association, then that's where the JCF gets involved.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're a Pan Am bronze medalist. You should have one of these.
Right, so that is why I'm saying that we're trying to reach out now to. I'm trying to actually get a PR, someone to do PR work for me in Jamaica at the moment to reach out to cooperative sponsors.
Yeah,
because it's November now, and at the start of the year, you said things kick off.
I hear you, but I still think I'm a part of an association, and if I have an athlete that I know that can qualify for the Olympics, whether you're in Jamaica or not, it is my duty as a part of the body to go out and help. Because
you're representing not the country, the association, everybody.
I don't necessarily mean that JCF is not there. I think it's a part of the job of the JCF as well as the GOA to help seek funding or sponsorship.
I mean, we are lobbying for you right now because we don't understand it. Because you're not only representing yourself, you represent the country. And for you, I don't want to hear next year come and you don't make it to Australia, Hong Kong, LA because of funding. I understand certain things out of control where things can happen, but one thing shouldn't be it's funding going to these events. And at this hour where it's November, I mean, well, a lot of people listening now, so we're putting out there now. Hopefully some corporate sponsors listening because, right now you should be focused on, you're going Australia. That's a question. If you're going Australia, you're Australia, Hong Kong, the leg, that's the leg, right? Australia, Hong Kong, LA, Canada.
Yeah, man, your focus should not be getting sponsorship. Your focus should be improving.
Yeah, strength and conditioning coach and day, more vomiting and all of that. Yeah, that's what you need to do and concentrate on.
All right, but we know there's a bigger issue out there with you and your personal coach. It's all over in the media over the past week or so. So tell us a little bit about what happened between your coach, yourself, and the Jamaica Cycling Federation?
So I'm going to take this opportunity now to say what I have to say, but I think after my success in Chile, I think I want to move on with this whole saga. I hope it solves and stuff like that, because I really want to focus on, as you said, next year, and also focusing on qualifying for Paris. So the problem actually I have with the JCF is whenever there's simple things I ask for from the JCF. Simple thing. Simple thing is whenever I have competitions, my coach be present there to support me. Because I base in Trinidad and Tobago, that's where I train, that's where I prepare for all my competitions, whether locally, internationally, or regionally. And this, as in my coach, I have been working with him since 2016, right? Since 2016, day in, day out. We win, we lose, everything together. And when it comes to, well, in 2016 is when I moved back to full-time racing, because I came to Trinidad for, right, in 2014. In 2016, I finished school and I decided to go back to full-time racing. When we sit down and we have this conversation, you know, that what's the plan and we're moving forward, we committed that we're going down to the wire. We're going to try to qualify for the Olympics. And whatever it takes for me to qualify or do these events, we agree on that. We have fundraisers, stuff like that, just to get to these competitions. When we have to pay our way to these competitions or qualifier, you name it, my coach is always present. He always gets selected. Even the recent concluded Pan Am Championship in Argentina, he was selected. Last year, Caribbean Championship, that host here in Trinidad, he was selected as the female head coach. And the Nation Cups, as I said, I could name a whole list of events that he always accompanies. But whenever he comes to games, like Commonwealth Games, CAC Games, or Pan Am Games, he's never been selected. So most of the time, we ask the question, who is the staff that will be selected for the event? Sometimes we get no answer. Sometimes it's when it's close to selection and the release of the team, then we will get an answer that this one gets selected, that one is selected. And that is where the issue kept come about, because we always ask the question, why whenever we have to pay our way, he's always present. He's always gets selected, no problem. But whenever it comes to game that GOA paying for, but is a fully covered expense paid trip, why he's not selected. But on top of that, even if they said that, okay, your coach is not going to be selected, they never sent us or get in contact with us and said, Dahlia, okay, your coach will not be selected, but we're selecting this person instead. Never.
Okay.
Right? So these are the things that we always ask. We always ask for answer for.
Yes. So, and I saw a statement that the JCF put out about the coach, Mr. Ferrer, right?
Ferrer.
Ferrer. That he's verbally belittled the JCF and the athletes and the coaches. This was put out in the air that your coach is a little bit rude at times. And right. I want to hear your side of the story in regards to that.
So when we saw that, and they even mentioned that in the past communications with us, we asked for proof of that.
Yeah.
There's still no proof. But if you put yourself in a coach position and you been working with an athlete and you never get considered selection when
you more have to be outspoken. You'd be outspoken.
Yes,
I would be outspoken.
You and will probably get emotional and your passion, and and as I said, and that's how it comes about. But we keep asking, how did he, disrespect or this, and that is all we're just hearing.
Because that was because your coach is now under suspension according to the JCF.
A 1 year suspension.
A 1 year suspension, And the reason given for that is because of the verbal abuse and the bad mouthing of the JCF and the coaches, and also the cyclists as well. So that's the reason that they give why they decided to give him
but
that
yet still
12-month suspension.
And according to you, there's no proof of this. That is just
there's no proof of it.
Here, so.
They just keep just saying this is all they keep saying, but you cannot provide it in a minute or anything like that. Said this was said or this was why, this is nothing. But my coach gets suspended in June. We received that email or letter from the federation saying that he got suspended the night or the day before I start racing the Pan American Championship.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we received that, even with my legal team, we asked for a constitution. Where is your disciplinary action? Because a press release that was put out there saying that he's not a member of the federation, or he's a member appointed coach. So my question is, if he's not a member of the federation or one of the appointed coach, how can you suspend someone who is not appointed by you or a member of your federation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently, in fairness to them, I think they said that they're suspending his accreditation, meaning he can't accompany you to any
games that they're
no, the accreditation was just for Pan Am Games.
Just events alone, right?
When they mention about the accreditation was about Pan Am Games. But the suspension is for over a minimum of 12 months period.
Okay,
so if they suspend my coach now, or if it stands, next year I have 4 Olympic qualifiers. Who's going to coach me? Who's going to go to the races with me?
And interestingly though,
I'm glad
that you brought that up, because I think you actually competed without a coach when you won that bronze medal.
Yeah.
Correct. Well, he was there.
Coach present. Yeah, coach physically there.
Yeah. Because he was there on the phone with me all the time. The morning of the race, he asked for my semi-final. He actually missed work for that, because that's the only way he could have saw the race, to give me whatever advice he have to give me going into the final.
All right.
So I was on the phone back and forth with him.
Yeah, I hear you. And I'm wondering if your coach has been preparing you for maybe over a period of 2 to 3 years.
7 years.
Is it 7 years?
Yes,
Let's put
2016,
that, even 1 year, because for me, I don't think if Usain Bolt has been prepared by Glenn Mills, I don't think Usain Bolt is going to go to the Olympic and be coached by Stephen Francis. I just don't think that makes sense, because your coach would have known you inside out. You would have known.
Okay, so I will give you a little insight on that.
Yes.
My coach is not just my coach. He's a manager. He's a mechanic and everything when he goes to competition. When I go to competition, I just ride the bike. I don't do nothing. The mountain of my bike, traveling, he takes care of everything.
Yeah.
But that is not the case. The case is this. If you, as I said, working with an athlete for over a period of time, years or something like that. First of all, cycling is not just like, as you mentioned, track and field, where you have a coach, they come in the warm-up area and you work with them, and then you go out and you run and stuff like that, or you're in the stand and you watch and you just give the advice. No, it's not like that. Cycling is a sport that is
technical
and also verbally, because we work together in training. When it comes to racing, he's my second eye in the race.
Yeah.
Right? So if you is not working with an athlete over a period of time, how can you just say, okay, I'm going to competition with this athlete, when you know nothing about the athlete? First of all, cycling is all about gearing. Right? When I go to competition, we work with a structure of gearing. And it also comes down to the velodrome, the temperature of the track, the density of the track, air density of the track. So if we go, like, for example, Chile was cold.
Yeah.
at the period of my at the time when I have my first race in the morning, it was cold. Yes, I understand and I know what I need to do. But not, I want to get this across to explain the more in depth why the coach is needed.
And even so,
yeah, man. Because as I said, I side with you, because I think something is fundamentally wrong with that type of setup, because I don't see it in any other sport. Well, we do have it in some other sport here, which I think is wrong. I don't believe that, especially in an individual sport. I don't think I should be coached by you, Kane, for a period of 2 years. Then 2 weeks before a competition, somebody's come and coach me. I don't believe in that. So I think something is definitely off with that type of setup.
And even as
it's not unique to track and to cycling.
In other sports,
it's happening in other sports, and I've been an advocate. I've actually been speaking out against it, because I just don't think it makes sense.
It's not only the experience as a coach; it's the experience with you. And as I said, you're a second eye, and he knows how you race and how you operate on the track. And he's been
so like if I go into a race and and when I ride the first race, he said, "Oh, probably the gear look a bit too small, or probably need a more gear." He will know it. I don't need to tell him the gear to put on. He know the gear to put on the bike. And first of all, you're not just dealing with a regular road bike. You're dealing with equipment, and my equipment is not just a regular equipment.
Yeah, and as you said, he's not.
So there is someone.
Not a coach
he's
alone.
Not just a coach. He's everything. He's the manager. He's the mechanic. Everything when it comes to competition.
We understand, and I mean, it's a team, and for the team
it's a whole team.
To work, for the team to work, team has to be there. So
is there any dialogue now between yourself, your coach, your whole staff there, and the JCF to get things back going in one direction?
I am going to be honest with you. Since the whole dilemma thing, I haven't spoken to anyone from the federation. I don't know if my coach, but so far what I'm aware of, no
headway. So it will be okay for you to even participate in these events next year without the sanction, without getting the okay from the local federation here?
At this point in time, I hope that, the federation, or as I said, my team, we willing to come together and settle whatever needs to settle, and hope they understand. And we, knowing that I have a pack here coming up, we work together and move on, because as I said earlier on, I am ready to move on from this, because as I said, I have a busy schedule coming up, and I really want to focus on that and not with the back and forth.
Yes, I do understand, and I wish you all the best. You're currently in Trinidad now, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, man, we can hear the accent.
I was going to ask if you were at Trinidad.
Yeah, can hear the accent. I mean, I like the Trinidad accent. Don't get me wrong.
That is by me just dealing with Trinidadians every day, because when I go to Jamaica and I spend a week and I come back, it's problem until when I get back into the groove.
I understand.
We're part Trinidad too,
We're part Trinidad, we're part Guyanese. I mean, we have the lingo as well, man, but yeah.
And so your first event is next year
in Australia.
What's the date for
February in Australia?
February in Australia. So we'll keep an eye on that, and I hope, things men with the federation and your coach and all that, because we do want to see you in Olympics, and I'm sure you want to go as well, but your whole family and everybody is your team.
And that would be history, right? Because we have never had a
female cyclist.
A female cyclist at the Olympics.
The Olympics, never.
That would have been history. Oh, is that on you?
No.
Yes. All right. So, Ms. Palmer, I wish you all the best for the remainder of the year and next year, and I hope that you guys sort out everything. I know it's a little bit complicated because somebody beside me also had an issue with his association.
Oh gosh.
I hope as I said, I hope it's solved and we move forward, and come next year we turn a new page and we focus on the goal ahead.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah, I would like to speak with your coach one of these days, so you should carry him on, Mr. Ferrer. We like to have
Faria.
a word with him.
Faria.
Faria.
We're not used to that
Faria.
name. First I hear that name, but even
That's
so,
a Trinidad name.
yeah. First we hear that name, but all the best, and we know you're flying the flag high, representing Jamaica, and just go out there and give them hell.
Yeah, keep creating history.
Yeah,
Thank you. And I will continue to do that as always.
Yeah, man, always.
And
Win, lose, or draw with you. And we know you're going and go out there and do your best. So no pressure, just go out there and just pedal away. Start from Hanover, go to the shop.
My best.
Yeah, man. And big up mommy too, because mommy knows say shoot the thing now. From them days.
She probably listening right now. So
big up mommy, for sure. From the days of Hanover to now, riding all over the world. All right. Thank you and all the best.
Okay, thank you.
All right, cool. All right. That was Dahlia Palmer, our bronze medalist at the just concluded 19th Pan Am Games in Chile in the women's curling event. I mean,
I've never seen a woman on a bicycle riding before. I mean, like professional rider, like what we see on the road. I've never seen.
I've seen it. Really?
Really?
Come on, I've seen it a lot.
We have made
I've seen it in Kingston a lot. No, you're sleeping at that time, man. They're on the road. They're on the road 4 or 5 o'clock.
Unbelievable.
No,
They're on the road 4 or 5.
I see some big belly guys and stuff.
No, man, women
They are
out there.
clubs. They are different clubs.
Yeah, man, but I see women out
I've never
there.
seen a female.
I've seen women out there.
Chuckling behind.
I've seen women out there. And I mean,
Dale, you have to support our women athletes more.
But it's good though, because I remember Ricardo almost upset the world #1 at Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
Yes,
that was in England.
Ricardo Lynch.
That was in England?
Yeah, man. It was Australia. And they, I think they got him out because that guy was the top seed, and they got out Mr. Lynch. Mr. Lynch would have defeated the champ.
But then she said, it's very technical. It looks simpler because I was watching
a bully thing, and she said our coaches are mechanic and everything.
Do you guys know that the only Olympic medal we have won outside of
David Weller?
It was to cycling, outside of track and field. We Jamaicans like to brag that we are sportsmen. Something like that. But I'm saying we Jamaicans like to brag about that we're sportsmen and we're sports. When if I the only sport we ever got a medal in track and field?
The most natural sport.
I mean,
no. But we have never. There are maybe 50 sports that you could compete in the Olympics, and we have only medal in one.
Well, outside of.
Let us hope that they can qualify for the upcoming Paris Games.
Yes,
that will be.
In a few minutes we'll have.
David Weller won the bronze medal in the 1,000 meters time trial in 1980 Summer Olympics in Moscow.
It remains the only medal that we have won outside of track and field. Yeah. So it's time we need to pick it up.
He's a family member to a table tennis player as well. Trisha Weir.
Oh yeah.
Trisha Weir.
Really?
Yeah, of
course.
No, I did not know that.
Of course.
I did not know.
I guess cycling and table tennis have a link.
I guess you're going to bring up now that you're related to Bridget Foster Hilton, right? Did she have any? Yeah. I know you're going to bring that up.
I'm just saying, table tennis is just a mother sport. It's connected to everything.
It's connected to everything.
I don't know about that.
But anyway, we know what time it is, people.
Time for sports country.
Greetings.
Yes.
Welcome, guys. I was out of the country for a few days. It was nice to see how the rest of the world lives outside of Jamaica. But I came up to some welcome news, not from me, but welcome news to the other two hosts here, that Crab Circle is to reopen. So these guys here who feed a lot on crab and crab leg and crab back, I see the smile returning to Dale Parham. The color is returning to your cheeks, man. So the crab will be here soon. I am doing a poll now, and I'm going to return to this subject in a while, about who is wrong in the big impasse between Elaine and the coach. So far, and you guys can go to the Primal Sports page, we're doing a poll to say who is right and who is wrong. And so far, 20% of people said the coach is right in this thing. 20% said that the heroes are right. And the other 60% says greedy people versus greedy people. So let us see what people think as time goes by. And I want to, see what the people are saying about this thing. I watched some football. I was in Colombia this week. I watched some football. I was there when Colombia was playing against Brazil. And the numbers were there. The support was there when the crowd cheered. The ground shakes. But Brazil started out with a great goal. aided by the great Vinicius who passed on to. So I don't even know, Martinelli I think scored. But I mean, Brazil looked great as usual, coming forward. No Neymar on the team. No, I didn't see, what's his name that scored the flying goal? I didn't see Anthony there.
Rafinha,
no, not Rapina, the other one. Richarlison was not on this team either. So about 4 or 5 of my favorite players were not there. But nonetheless, Brazil looked very fluid, except that, and you guys are gonna be vexed with me, but I think the team missed Neymar, to be honest with you. But then Luis Diaz, who recently had his parents kidnapped, his father, kidnapped. And the Colombians won't tell us if a ransom was paid. But I have every assurance that some money run hands. But Luis Diaz played an inspired type of game. Brazil didn't seem to figure they needed to man-mark him. And that's the worst thing you can do with a great forward. Leave him alone. They kind of left Luis Diaz and he became a thorn and scored 2 goals in quick succession to slam the door on Brazil. And, you know, Brazil football is beginning to lose its mystique, even for me. You know, even for me, Brazil football is beginning to lose its mystique. Again, losing their mystique. Reggae Boys. After I thought Reggae Boys would play well this morning because with the rain last night, there's no chance for anybody to go to any parties. There's no chance for anybody to touch the road. So I thought everybody would be fresh this morning. We did well to score a goal against Canada, but we lost inevitably 2-1. I think Jamaica just have no idea how to play midfield. I think the defense keeps making long clearances upfield. I see the coach flattered by putting Maggie in the squad and kept him on the bench. I have no idea why the only midfielder who seemed to show any promise. Some people tell me he play too slow. I don't know. I don't think we're playing at all. The big kick up field is not working for us. And either the defenders have no confidence in our ability to create, to play in the middle. But we just don't seem to be able to get it together in the middle. And I think that the coach lacks imagination. The selections seem to be the same old. Bobby Reid, what can I say about Bobby Reid? Bobby Reid, he looks better in defense than in attack, actually. And you know, but we're going to Canada for the second leg of the knockout. And I don't think we'll do much better than we did today. I saw a little bit of the Guatemala match. And I thought we were moving the ball around well against Guatemala. I think it ended 0-0, didn't it? I didn't get to watch the whole match, so I apologize for that. No, Carlos Alcaraz, grumbling quite a bit for a man who was #1 a few months ago. He seems to complain a lot. He's crying a lot. I don't know if the weight of expectation is on the poor kid. But he was playing ATP finals and then he complained about the surface. It's way too fast compared to other courts and all this kind of thing. Carlos is crying a lot. Then he lost again to Zverev the other day, and he then complained that it's the first time they're playing on a surface like this for the year. I think he's playing Djokovic right now. I don't know what the result is, but I hope for his sake that he wins so we can hear him stop crying. Now, he's now complaining about the amount of balls they're using. They're using too many different balls. You know, I think Carlos needs to get on with it and try to get back to the greatness that he promised. Rain everywhere. Why do I have this inside here? I didn't have anything particular to say about the thing, but Jamaica, everything has been rained out of late. So I'm only gonna use this opportunity to urge my fellow Jamaicans to stay dry. One of the ways you can stay dry is to watch Miss Universe tonight. The favorites are, I predicted, the favorites are Miss Colombia in the betting, of course, followed by Miss Thailand and Miss Puerto Rico. But somehow, I feel that India and Vietnam are going to surprise. So my money is still on India, Vietnam, possibly Mexico. I've noticed Miss Jamaica, she did some things in the evening gown. She dressed in a special costume, Miss Port Royal. I watched too much beauty contest, you know. But Miss Jamaica, despite the fact that she showed an innovative costume, and I didn't know Port Royal have a costume, but I don't think Miss Jamaica will be in the top 10 this time around. Sorry, guys. Neither the better. At first, she was in the top 10, but the pundits have ruled her out. I want to say one thing about the bomb hoaxes in Jamaica. Last week, several businesses and schools were locked down about bombs and all this kind of thing. And now I'm even hearing that we're having hoaxes about earthquakes because they're saying that there's a second earthquake that never took place. But the last thing I want to comment on sports commentary is the impasse between Elaine and you guys. There's a number to call if you want to weigh in on it. The number is, if you're in the USA, 615-952-0562. If you're not in the USA, you can call us on WhatsApp, 876-552-7406. We want to hear what you feel about the impasse. The impasse I'm speaking of about goes back to the poll I was doing earlier between the coach, the hearers, and the hearers about whether the money that the coach is asking for is too much. As a matter of fact, in a few minutes, we will be joined by Olympian Dr. Neil Gardner, who will share his opinion on the impasse. But the fact is that we're being told that the coach is asking for 15% of Elaine's money, Elaine's earnings, while the figure now looks like they want 100-odd million Jamaican dollars
in the region.
It's being said. It's being said, and we're gonna get to the bottom of it soon.
We don't know the exact figure.
We don't know the exact figure, but a little bit of a story of two economists walking on the road one day, and one, there's a concept in economics called opportunity costs. That means to say, if you're asking for a certain amount of money, it must be because you could have earned that money otherwise. So in other words, if Kane says to me, I'm going to walk away from Primal because I got a better offer, I should be able to support that offer. It should make some kind of sense. And so two economists walking on the road, and one economist sees what looks like a 500-pound note. Both of them see a 500-pound note. This was in England on the ground. And the guy, the young economist says, "Jesus, 500 pounds, let me pick it up." And the whole economist look at him and said, no. Do not embarrass yourself and try to pick up that 500 pounds. The younger economist says, why shouldn't I pick up 500 pounds is on the ground? The older guy says to him, if it was 500 pounds, a real 500 pounds, somebody else would have picked it up already. And that is what is my story. So my argument is that if this coach was able to command 100 million Jamaican dollars, she would have had many offers to consider. And I think she doesn't have many such offers. So like the pound on the ground, she shall remain outside of somebody's pocket. That's sports commentary. What say you?
Okay.
All right. We'll jump right in. On that note,
yes, so everybody know the whole issue that's been going on with Elaine.
Although it's a lot of hearsays and
coach.
Not exact figures, but
yes,
we all have opinions on the situation, looking at it from the coach's standpoint, the athlete standpoint, and I mean
Osborne, the coach, Osborne,
but
parting ways over the finances,
But right away, we will have an insight from a former athlete himself, represented Jamaica for many years, Dr. Neil Gardner, and he'll give us his take on the situation. Welcome, Dr. Neil Gardner.
Thank you, gentlemen. Can you hear me okay?
Definitely. Clear.
Very good. And it's always fun coming in early and listening to you guys banter back and forth. All right, tell me what you want to know.
Well, the situation, I mean, although for me, we're discussing, but we don't know the exact figures, but it somewhat seemed an exorbitant request from the coach. And even so, as a former athlete, what is your take of even a coach getting 15% of established athletes' current earnings?
All right. When it comes to the amount that coaches typically ask for, there's a range, right? But the range is dependent on a few factors. The range is probably anywhere from 7%, 10% up to, I think I've heard as high as 20%, but those outliers are not common. It's typically between 10 and 15%, what I'm aware of. Now, if somebody's going to ask for a certain amount, it comes with a certain level of expectation. For example, if I am an established coach, if I were like Fran,
and
I've had 18 Olympians medaling, I've had
resume, a big resume,
10 national champions, I've had 3 world records, I've had, then I can command the higher end of what the range would be.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be reasonable to expect that a coach of that caliber, if you're an athlete going into that coach, you're doing so because of the track record of that particular coach. And so because that person's track record is better than others, then you are willing to pay that individual more than you would pay another person, right? So I can understand a coach wanting a certain amount, that's fine, or you think that you're worth that. But what's kind of baffling to me is that this is a coach that doesn't have the kind of resume that would command the upper half of what coaches would get. So it's not reasonable to think that because coaches can make up to 15%, that I as a coach should be demanding 15% if I don't have the requisite history to support that request. Now, Shanika is a very good coach. There's no question about that. And it's evidenced by how well Elaine did towards the end of the season. But how good a coach you are is really not what determines how much you get paid. What determines how much you get paid is your experience, your track record, and how much you're doing for the athlete. So when you look at an MVP, for example, it's a whole club. If you're going to a track meet, you're not paying fees to enter the track meet. You're a part of MVP. So MVP pays up all the fees. They are responsible for the venue for training, the track. They're responsible for the venue for weight training. They're responsible for the equipment that you're using, the starting blocks, everything. So you're not just paying for the intellectual property of the coach. You're paying for everything that the coach is going to have to provide in order for you to be successful.
Yeah.
So if Shanika is offering, or Coach Osborne is offering that amount, or requesting that amount, then it has to be backed up by something that she's offering to merit that amount. Now, the difference with Elaine is that Elaine is already an established athlete, one. So it's not that Elaine is starting from zero and you're going to now be bringing Elaine from nothing to becoming an Olympic champion. She's already a four-time Olympic champion. She has already garnered for herself not just the reputation, but also the financial backing to support what she has already achieved. That financial backing, by way of her contracts, is something that the coach in question has not been involved in trying to negotiate or procure for the athlete. So it's like me falling in love with somebody who is very wealthy already. And I come into the relationship, the person has already established themselves. I decide that I love this person, so I choose to get married to this person. And then after 4 months, I say, you know what? It's not working out. Let me leave. And by the way, I want to take half of what you had. It's not reasonable because you are not involved in building that person to that level. And so if it were like in my case, I basically had nothing when I got married, and everything that I now have, if my wife decides that she's had enough and she wants to go and she says, you know what, I want half of what you have acquired, or I want 60%. She's more than deserving of that, because she would have done something to help me to achieve that. Yeah. But in this case,
but I think she was there from the start, though.
She was there in the start, but
she's been with UTech from.
Yes, so she was a part of the coaching team at MVP.
Yeah, from
irrespective of how much involvement that she has had. If MVP's contract was 15%, say, and it would not be much more than that. The most it could possibly be is probably 20% at most. And that would be club fees plus coaching fees, right? All in one.
Yeah.
Then what the coach would have done with that percentage is paid out each of the individual coaches. So it's not that she would have been doing her services for free. She would have already been compensated under whatever arrangement there was while she was working with MVP. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is really a challenge for me to justify the desire. And I think part of the problem is inexperience. And well, that's the biggest part of the problem. I don't think she has enough experience to be able to
Osborne's part.
On Miss Osborne's part.
In terms of how she handled the whole, yes.
Well,
I agree
right. And not only that, but in terms of her requesting that somebody else or the particular person that she asked to negotiate on her behalf.
Yeah.
If she had better experience, she would have probably asked somebody else.
Yeah.
Or she would have probably been more in the driver's seat, even though the person is one negotiating. There should have been a consultation with her to say, these are the thoughts that we're having. This is how we want to put it forward. What do you think? And then she say, you know what? That amount doesn't sound reasonable. How about we put forward this? And I don't get the feeling that happened. I think once Coach Osborne invited the person to negotiate on her behalf, it seems how it sounds to me, because I know her and I know she's not a money grabbing person. It sounds to me that she just left it up to the individual to just do the negotiations.
Yeah.
And
she wasn't involved.
I don't think she was very involved, and I don't think she knew.
She just wants to coach. She just wants to coach.
She wants to coach, and she wants this thing to work out, but she does not want to be cheated.
Yeah.
So she wanted to make sure that she asked somebody who, in her estimation, would know more to kind of guide the process for her. And I think the person has let her down.
Yeah, that person didn't represent her well enough in asking for that amount, which is still undisclosed because we don't know the amount, but we hear that's in the region of 100 mil, which I
mean, irrespective of what the amount is, I mean,
I don't think
what was said in Sportsmax, it has not been refuted by either coach or the person. So I'm assuming that silence means consent. So it's possible that is indeed what was requested. And I don't.
In days we'll know more, probably more will come up, but I don't think the issue was even more than 15%. I don't think the quarrel was 15%, but even so, 15% of what?
15% itself is unreasonable.
But even so, 15% of what?
The 15% is unreasonable. Okay. Go ahead.
I heard that the initial offer was $40,000 for the year, and then that was pushed. Yeah, for US for the year, and that was pushed back and saying, "Hey, come better than that." And then that's where negotiations were held, and somebody did it on her behalf with her request, and then that figure was, so it's on both ends of the spectrum, was one was too low and one was way too high.
No, why do you think $40,000 is too low?
No, I mean, I'm based on what I heard, not for me.
No,
I'm saying for her.
Let me ask you a question.
No, I think 40,000 for coach.
I don't know the ins and outs of what they make or what they usually make for
40,000 US. No, 40,000 US dollars, right? How much is that Jamaican? Have you calculated it out?
No, but I'm just saying, in respect for track and field and what coaches earn.
No, I know, I get you.
I don't know the amount.
I'm just asking. For what is 40,000 in terms of Jamaican dollars? Can you calculate that quickly for us?
$6 million a year. For one,
$40,000, $6 million a year.
Yeah, for one athlete.
Okay. Now that's as a base salary, right? Now the base is just what you're being paid to just turn up and work so that you can meet your expenses and so on. But there's also a bonus to it. And the bonus is based on the performance of the athlete. Right? Now, $40,000 US, that's how much per month? $3,000 per month? $3,200 per month? Or something, $3,100 per month? That is, if it's just, and you're not working extra hours, you have a team of athletes there, and you're going to be training this particular individual as well.
So you're saying, that could be, that's a standard, that's somewhat of a standard figure, a base figure.
No, not necessarily. It varies with coaches and it varies with their athletes. But the thing is that most coaches would have been the ones to get their athletes to a particular level.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so I see where you're getting at. She's already at a level.
She's
So
already
you
at
think,
that
so you
level.
think that figure is more than reasonable?
Well, the question that I have is, can you reasonably meet your expenses and be comfortable with that amount? If the answer is no, then suggest an amount that you can be reasonably comfortable with the work that you have to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't look at what the other person can or cannot afford.
Yes.
You
And I
look
guess
at what
the
your
problem.
situation is, because what should it matter to me if I am training, let's say, Kane, I want to train you in table tennis and you are already national champion.
Yeah.
And then I want to train this other person who is a beginner trainer, beginner athlete, who has never even seen a table before. Who should be paying me more? You or the beginner person? Who will require more time? You or the beginner?
Beginner.
The beginner will require much more of my
Much
time,
more time. Yeah.
much more of my effort, much more of my commitment.
Yeah.
But isn't there a union though? Isn't there like a coaches association
There's
where
a coaches association, but I
where
don't
you
know if
know
the
that,
coaches
because
association.
sometimes you don't want to upset the market, you know. You don't want to yeah, because I'm a coach as well, so I can tell you, you don't want to having somebody going too low and
Yeah,
upsetting the
but
market. You want to set a standard that nobody goes
the
below,
challenge though,
regardless.
the challenge is this. The challenge is this. If you say that you're worth 15%, what is not being said, which is what you're actually saying in this case,
Yes.
is that you're worth 15% of Elaine's money.
Yeah.
That's not what's being said, but
Yeah.
that's what it amounts to. You're worth 15% of Elaine's money. Now, 15% of Elaine's money is very different from the 15% of pick any other athlete.
Yeah. Even so, a beginner's
beginner athlete who has not really done anything. In fact, you will probably be coming out of pocket for that athlete on some occasions.
Yeah.
Whereas Elaine is already established. To say that you're worth 15% of Elaine's salary, that says that you know what Elaine's salary is.
I guess it's a matter of miscommunications and bad
I think she just
negotiations.
asked somebody. I just think she asked somebody to negotiate on her behalf who she should not have.
Yes. She felt that person was qualified enough to broker the deal on her behalf or the behalf of both parties, which I guess
it turns out that wasn't the case.
I guess that wasn't the case, but
it is really sad. But the thing is, what people are not understanding about track and field is that let's look at the athlete, for example. If Elaine, as a young athlete, is seeking a contract from Nike, which she had to initially, she was first with Nike, she's now with Puma. That initial Nike contract, the very first contract that she got, would not have been with a very high retainer. The base salary for that contract would not be very high.
Yeah.
What, however, would be high would be the bonuses based on her performances. So with contracts for athletes, what they usually do when you're a young athlete, they're taking a risk with you by giving you money.
Yeah.
They are able to recoup that money when you perform well, because then your name, along with their apparel or what have you, will now be out there. So if you get to a final, then it is going to be said, we have another Nike athlete in a final. Yeah. And that has value.
Yeah.
And because it has greater value, then they're going to give you a percentage or a certain sum. Let's say they say your salary is, the amount that they're giving you in the contract is 20,000 US for the year. But if you make it to an Olympic final, you get $15,000. If you make it to a podium finish, you get an additional $30,000. And if you get a gold medal, you get $60,000.
Yeah.
So with those bonus structures, everything is kind of cumulative. You make it to the final, you get that finals bonus. You make it to the medals, you get a medals bonus. You get it to the podium, you get the podium bonus. So for an athlete, it incentivizes them to push for the performance to get as much money as possible, because they are just taking a chance with me. In the case of this particular coach, she's not yet at the level where one would say she's proven and tried. No. She's not had an Olympic or a world championship medalist. as an individual athlete.
As a head coach.
As a head coach. She's had a medalist as a part of a relay, but not as a part of an individual performance. And she's had finalists in the World Championship and the Olympics. So she's a good coach.
Yeah.
But she has now the opportunity to work with an athlete that can lift her standard to a very high level where she can now start to command the kinds of things that she wants to make.
Yeah.
Understand.
But she's not, it saddens me that she did not see that.
So both would add value to each other.
Both would have had significant value to each other. But the coach standing to benefit more than Elaine does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if Elaine wins, and it's a big if.
Yes, a big coach, get her back on track.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been for Elaine. She would have been the only person, female, to have. She's the only female to have a double-double. Yeah. But to put it as a triple-double would put her on almost on the level of Usain Bolt in terms of the Olympic performances.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned it earlier that Coach Osborne probably was a little bit inexperienced.
And I think that's the sad thing. I think that's what it boils down to. I don't think it's greed. I think it's just lack of experience. And I wish that somebody or she had asked somebody with a little bit more knowledge to guide the process for her, guide her in the process. Because if she were really thinking about it, she could have benefited so much more. And along with Elaine.
I want to say even that you're saying that you should have benefited from Elaine's performance next year Paris if Elaine completed the double. The 100
even if she doesn't. No.
But
even if Elaine, that's the thing. Even if Elaine doesn't.
Yeah. Even if she
brings Elaine and Elaine goes to the final and Elaine runs 10:70 and finishes third.
Yeah.
And then runs 21:7 and finishes third.
The coach's name been buzzing.
Her name is gonna blow up.
Elaine's latest performance at the end of the season, just by the last couple of races.
Yeah. Who is the coach?
Miss Osborne's name.
It's Miss Osborne's name that got up there. Exactly.
Yeah. So you're right. I do agree with what you're saying that.
Because now everybody has it that she's a great coach because she brought Elaine from here to that level. So, I mean.
And she was trending. Everybody was talking about this new coach. Who is this new coach? For people who don't know, who's outside of track and field. So her name was trending out there. So imagine.
100%. And that is something that I wish that somebody had shown her that side of it. That, you see, if it were me, I would say I would take the lowest possible 7%. That as a flat pay that I need to be comfortable.
Yeah, you have to look
and say let everything be based on the bonuses.
And
then next year, we talk about and this will just be a 1-year contract to the Olympics.
Yeah.
And then if she does well, then next year she can ask for anything almost.
She can ask for more. Yeah.
All right, I have to leave it right there though. But thanks for your input. Yeah, thanks for your input, Neil Gardner. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much, guys. Boy, you hit the nail on the head right there.
I mean, there's value to add both it and
looking at the bigger picture for real. Because our name was trending the whole time.
What I would like though is that the numbers floating around. I would like it more narrowed down to be like this was that. A lot of years and all of that. Because from one figure to the next is like we're not so sure. But yet still, what it seems that what was asked was way too much. Even so, based on what track athletes make, I mean,
I don't. Nobody's gonna pay.
Yeah, I don't see any track athlete making billions of dollars from track and field alone.
But Kane, you have to remember, when you look at an athlete's salary, what comes out of it before the athlete gets it?
Definitely.
Taxes come out of it.
Yeah.
Coaches' pay comes out of it.
Yeah.
Club dues come out of it.
Yeah.
Their agent's fee comes out of it.
Yeah. When you look at
I think that's about it. So if the coach's portion alone is 15%.
Yeah.
15%.
Yeah.
Then what's the athlete gonna be left with at the end?
Probably 50%.
And they're the ones doing the work.
Yeah. Going out there running out I mean, yeah, as you said,
Speaking like a true athlete.
Yeah. I wonder why.
yeah.
All right, Dr. Neil, guys. Thanks.
Gentlemen, take care. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, man.
We'll jump right into Froggy at 5 right away.
That was pretty interesting, but I wanted to ask him, I think for me, it was inexperience on both sides, both on the coach's side and on Elaine's side as well, because there's still room for negotiation.
Elaine's husband.
Elaine's husband. Elaine's husband. And Elaine as well, because there's still room for negotiation. Mm-hmm. It's a negotiation process. So whether I start higher or start low, you still can negotiate. So I think there's an underlining thing beneath everything that is going on. And that is what is really causing all this uproar. It's not the height of the figure or anything like that. For me, it's just basically there's something else brewing between the husband.
What do you think?
I feel like the husband doesn't ever want her.
Why?
Simply put. Because
No, for me.
No,
Let me tell you why that wouldn't be reasonable.
Yeah, why?
Elaine left Frano and has been training for 2 seasons with poor performances, ever worsening performances with every year that goes by. And in 4 months, she goes back to almost to the level she was. It doesn't matter if the coach likes her or not,
Yeah.
He's looking at his money as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, I understand that, Neil. But what I'm saying is, if you value this coach and you want this coach to be at a part of the team, you will have that room to negotiate. You will sit with her, with a lawyer, and say, hey, let's do this thing professionally. There was none. After the figure was shown out there, it's like, hey, me now work with this and it's done.
On his part, you thought
if
you're throwing this figure out, you don't care about my athlete.
Let me show you something. Exactly. Let me show you something. If you're selling a car and you know that the car for sale value is $1.9 million, and you are asking, because you know that you want to come down to 1.9, so you're going to ask the person for 2.3.
Yeah.
And then you ask the person for 2.3, the person goes and does their research, and they'll say your car don't really value 2.3. And them say to you, all right, I'll give you 1.7. I said, no, man, come up a little bit. And then you count and say 2.1, and then them say, you know what? Come a second at 2. I say, all right, cool. And 2, are you happy? Because it's 1.9 it value. You get your 2 million. Them get them less than you 2.3. So them feel happy, you feel happy. Cool. That's how negotiations typically go.
Yeah.
But if you say you're going to ask for 2.3, and then they come back and say they're going to offer you $200,000.
I don't want to hear nothing more.
What more you want to hear?
Argument done. Goodbye.
What more you want to hear? Tell me. No, tell me. What more you want to hear? Tell me. You understand? So when you start off, when the starting point is so far away from anything reasonable, what more is there? You can't. There's nothing to negotiate. Because in your mind, you're going to feel. In your mind, you're going to feel if they want a certain amount, and you are going to say no, 750,000 is too much. 60,000.
Let me ask you something.
That's an insult to them based on what they want.
Elaine know Miss Osborne
very well
for many years, right?
Yes.
Elaine would have known about her character.
No.
Would not have known that she's not really money grabber or.
Sure.
That's my point that I'm getting at. So,
but you see,
I know that
even if a figure's thrown out there, she knows her personally. She was a part of her coaching team, so she knows this lady. She'd been around her for a long while. She knows her background. So if the figure gets thrown out there, she's gonna say, "No, this is not her. This is not." So let's renegotiate again.
No. If she has asked for somebody to negotiate on her behalf,
yes,
and she brought in this person, and the person is negotiating for her, you're no longer negotiating with her. You're negotiating with the person.
I don't think it's that professional here. I don't think that setting.
But even so, they all know each other because Mr. Ross was a part of the UTEC team as well. So he wasn't
know
by
each other.
No, when they say know each other,
they're all friends in all this, you know.
No. You're assuming friendship.
No,
you're assuming friendship. That's not necessarily how it is.
Well, not friends as in friendship, but they all know each other.
There might be
they all know
acquainted
the characteristics
with each
of each other.
No,
but I can say this: that it's more likely that the party is closer to the coach than he is to the athlete.
Looks like we're up again.
Go ahead, Frank.
What I'm saying is that, all right, we're going to get back to the story. One of the things I think was given to Miss Osborne was what they call a performance-based contract. And I don't believe in performance-based contract as a coach.
You're back with us, Doctor?
Because I can coach you to reach 100%. And you may not want to run at 100% when you go there. Something can happen in the race, and I don't get my performance bonus. When you look at a performance contract, you have a required level, you have a minimum level, you have an elbow level, which is between the required performance level and the minimum level, and then you have an incentive level. The incentive is when you go over the required level.
Sorry, I missed you guys.
Yeah, we're back on that. Yeah.
If that athlete performs at a minimum level, you stand nothing to get as a coach. Zero.
Say again now. Where I missed that point. So can you? Yeah, start back.
What I'm saying is that you one of the contracts that was leveled to Miss Osborne was a performance-based. Or I think
we
rumored around was a performance-based contract. And I'm saying there are levels to a performance-based contract which a lot of coaches will not want to take up, because as a coach, I can coach you to reach a certain level, but I cannot guarantee that when you step on that track, you are going to do what I say, or you're going to execute as I say. Things can happen, and I don't get my bonus at it because if I am the one that has not coached you well. So you have a required performance level, a minimum performance level. Then you have an elbow level, which is basically in between the required and the minimum. And then you have the incentive level. That incentive level is not triggered until I pass the required level. So even though I bring you to the required level, I may not get what I need to get. And if I put you at an elbow level, I only stand to get 80%.
All right, so you're speaking in terms of
a performance-based contract, which was what is rumored to have been given to Ms. Osborne, and she rejected it. So I'm gonna take that one.
Based on what was said, and this is what normally obtains. So I doubt that would have been the case. That doesn't make reasonable sense.
That is what is rumored in the paper. There is a performance-based contract.
No, for the performance-based
contract with a base salary. Yeah. And the bonuses, hold on, Mr. Garner, the bonuses would not be triggered until all these requirements are met. When you're doing a performance-based contract, you have to meet requirements by the buyer. So I am the buyer. You're selling me something. There are a lot of key characteristics about it as well. You have requirements based on a contractual outcome, and that's how the work is actually done. So the outcome is being looked at. I have indicators that indicate that outcome. You have to meet those indicators. You have to achieve those performance standards in the indicators. I have a defined process. Go ahead.
Sorry, may I ask you, are you speaking in terms of general terms for contracts? Or are you speaking
in terms of our performance-based contract? That's how you start out.
So you're speaking in general terms for performance-based contracts.
For a performance-based contract for athletes or for a coach. So even these are the type of contract that is level to athletes when they are signing major contracts. You have to have a minimum and a maximum requirement.
Sure. So what normally obtains, as far as I'm aware, is that you have your base salary. which is what was it wasn't so much just the 15%. There was a base salary as well and a bonus. And it's a base salary was the point of contention, not so much the bonus being the point of contention. In her case, the base salary that was being offered was $40,000, to which the coach felt that that was too low. And it's her right to feel that way. So if she felt that it was too low, then obviously she would come back with something higher. But rather than doing that, she enlisted the help of somebody else to come in and put that amount out there on her behalf, because I think she just didn't want to be lowballing it. But as far as what you're mentioning about minimum levels and so on, it's not usually that technical. What normally happens is this: when they say a bonus contract or a performance-based contract, they have tiers at which more and more money gets triggered. So if she made the national team, that's one level bonus. If she makes it to the finals of the Olympics, that's another level bonus. If she now medals, there will be another level bonus. And so each attainment is married to an amount. However, there's a base salary, and that base salary is more dependent on what the coach is comfortable receiving, so as not to experience the things that you just mentioned. Because if the base salary is not enough, then the coach could have done a whole lot of work for very little compensation. So the base salary has to be an amount that the coach would feel comfortable putting out a certain amount of work without expecting too much in return in terms of performance. But now, if the performance comes, then the pot should be sweetened even more. And the question is, what was that amount? And that is where the issue was, in that amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is a performance base. So she rejected it based on not just maximum level, but the base salary was just not hers. I think she went on to say that she was willing to reduce the bonuses and increase the base salary.
Which is normally what happens.
She want to be guaranteed of her money, because she cannot. Bonuses are not nothing that is guaranteed.
Yeah, but
something that you have to work for. You're dependent on something else. She wants
but you have to
understand.
Money. You have to understand that Elaine is taking a chance with her. She really is not tried and proven in the 100 meters and 200 meters. She is not yet.
Well,
so Elaine is taking a chance. Hold on now. If let's say with Frano, if she is going to Frano, it probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense for Frano to be negotiating percentages based on bonuses.
Frano, tell us straight up.
Because the reason being is that you know that if you do what he says, you're gonna be on that podium.
Yeah, man.
So you are already coming from a place of guarantee.
Yeah.
Or reasonable guarantee. So in that case, you will be paying for that guarantee. But there's no guarantee on the other side that if you do what he says, you're gonna be on that podium. In as much as the bonus is tied to the performance, the athlete themselves need to know that if I do what this person says, I'm going to get to where the person says I'm going to get to. And because of that uncertainty on both sides, it is not unreasonable to start lower on because it's their first contract, lower on the base salary, and then make more linked to the performance. After she would have done well this season, negotiating the next season would be significantly different, because she would have said, you see, I told you, you do what I tell you to do, you're going to get there. I said, boy, coach, I chew your talk, All right, so here what we're going to do now going forward. Going forward, I just want a straight, clean 15% of everything right out the bat. Every bonus, every contract, everything, 15%, which is considerably higher for her, but it comes with a guarantee
Yeah.
I mean,
I guarantee from the athlete's perspective.
Yeah, it's different coach, so I mean different.
But you know, we're going way over time.
Yeah,
for
because
this
but even so, I'm sure we're going to continue even this next week because we don't even touch on the Reggae Boys or even Christopher Taylor, 30 months ban. So this saga will not end. Because even so, I wanted to touch on what does this mean for Elaine and where do you think Elaine would go? What do you think is in store for next year, Paris? If she don't find a coach soon, I mean, all of that can be discussed in probably even over our cause. Right now, what this means for Elaine Thompson?
For me, the way Elaine left Fun,
no, she's not going back front. She's not going back front.
Fun not taking her back.
Francis last year, you know, I wrote her off, you know. Just by the way she left.
Everybody in the studio kind of thought that.
Not me though.
Yeah. I mean, well. I'm just saying, you know, I think you should always respect people who character, regardless of whether you have an argument with them. You know, I think
party is amicable. Party is amicable.
Respect was due to Francis. The words that I heard coming out of Elaine mouth, I didn't like it.
Or on paper, what was
she said it in different interviews. But that from things have a way of coming back around. You know? I believe in karma still. I'm a high believer of that. So.
I think you need your own philosophy. Show, you know? You need to get to a different.
No, but I'm a strong believer of that. So I think that the way she left, I just write her off. I know that she wouldn't do. Everybody was thinking that Elaine going pull off a Shelly, you know, Shelly leave her, but Shelly didn't leave that in that manner.
Shelly left humbly and thanked and moved on.
When a coach build you and carry you to a height, I think you should, if you're a party because of a disagreement, you deal with the thing on a level. You know, sure.
Well, we kind of had it.
Before we interrupt
Fraggy gone for some incentive talk and some high level, low level, elbow level thing.
And I'm just wondering if them watching pennies, you know, because it was rumored why they leave Mr. Francis. And it was rumored. It was
rumored that it was over
contracts. And contracts. So I'm just wondering if they're watching pennies. And me and Peter have this argument about Jamaican athletes not wanting to pay for proper management.
Nobody in Jamaica like to pay for nothing properly.
You know, so I have a whole, I have another story, a whole thing to talk about in terms of watching the money and not looking at the bigger picture.
Pennywise and pound foolish.
Yes. You
but
know?
even so, you don't want to be cheated out of your own money because you don't want to, at the end of the day, only getting 50% of your money.
You know, Peter gave an example with Mike McCollum back in the days with Don King, right? Mike McCollum did not want to pay Don King this 40% of what, but Don King would have pushed him
to the next
level in terms of finances. You know, sometimes you just got to pay the money.
There's a sacrifice now for making more.
You need money to make money.
Because look at it.
I'm just wondering if them watching the dollar too much. But I understand what both of you saying.
But look at it this way.
But there's add value to both. Coach.
She took a risk with her husband, you know. Coaching her, you know.
Marrying him? Or
coaching her. Coaching her.
Was there another proposal?
Did she allow herself to be proposed to by anybody else? But she took a risk and allowed him to coach her.
That didn't go well.
And it didn't go well. You know Shaniki. You have been with this girl. This girl has been a part of your coaching team. Possibly she has been the main person coaching her other than Frano.
Shaniki made a mistake, so we'll move on.
No, but even so, the deal that brokered was between the deal that was brokered was between the person that represented Shaniki, which is Mr. Russell,
and
Mr. Era.
On both sides.
So I mean, the coach probably wasn't even part of the whole negotiation thing.
Exactly.
And I'm saying,
the way I look at things, they probably would even sit down and talk and say, even the figures.
So what you guys saying? So, let us answer
what me say is that
you say Elaine going to do well next year?
She need a coach.
Elaine look happy.
She need a coach.
She need a coach.
Most
never see Elaine smile.
And dancing and
look like a different.
Allow me to, if you will, if this were an ideal world, right? I think the best way forward for Elaine, as far as because of time, she does not have time to find a new coach.
She has to fix
and to be in a system where the person knows her well enough to prepare her adequately. She doesn't have the time. They dropped the ball, but the good thing is that it was a third party that was doing negotiation and dropped the ball. It wasn't the coach doing the negotiation and dropping the ball. I think there's room.
There's room.
Yeah.
To get rid of that third person and
fix it.
Elaine and the coach sit down and have a.
That's what I've been saying. There's room
coach.
for negotiation.
Dr. Gardner, so you're saying blame the person who is not there. Blame the third man.
Blame the person who is not
And move on. That's what you're saying.
Blame them.
Good, very wise.
Throw them under the bus.
Blame the next man.
The athlete and the coach.
Yeah, man.
I think the
Throw them
athlete and
under
the
the
coach
bus.
should sit down. No
And
husband.
the athlete and the coach, not the husband and the coach.
No husband,
The
no
husband and the
Mr.
coach.
Russell.
The athlete and the coach.
No agent. The
Them
athlete
sit
and the coach
down
sit down.
and
then
them talk
afterwards
about it.
Yeah.
And them say, all right.
If Elaine really wants her, you know.
And you're an athlete yourself, so this time of year, November, you should be in background training. And
Yeah, man. But it's already specific. It's already in a specific kind of a place because it's not just background training. There are specific things that have to be done to get the person ready from now.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think she has foot injury, Achilles problem. Is that so?
Right. There's a problem with something going on with her foot apparently.
So
and that needs to be resolved as well, or at least managed appropriately.
And
which
money
I
come
think
out of that. money are pumped into that.
All
So
right.
that alone cutting a percentage again.
All right.
And
Exactly.
then, as I say, yeah. So a lot
But
of
the thing is that the difference with Prano, what made Prano able to work it out well for her was that he figured out how best to manage her injury.
Yeah.
And that is a huge deal.
Yeah.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And why the husband was unable to get her to where she got to is because she kept getting hurt.
Mhm.
It kept being aggravated. It's not because of the coaching methods being off. She was out of training for too much.
Yeah.
So if the injury can be managed appropriately, that's half the battle already won. But the unfortunate thing is that it requires an intimate knowledge of the athlete, where their breaking points are, so that you do not exceed it while getting the most out of them. And a new coach is not gonna be easy to get that to that point.
No.
Yeah, understand.
Broke another deal as well.
All right, people, you know, we come to the end of another
Yeah.
You know,
Gone a bit over time there, but
course, of
I mean,
course.
interesting topic. And as I said, we don't even touch on the reggae
very
boys.
passionate because you know Elaine was my star athlete. You know, so you know it's a
Bittersweet.
topic that will never end.
Yeah.
And for me, I thought she was the one who was going to break that
record.
That record.
There's
anyway,
still
still
time
time.
left. The window is closing, but I think a little still left
She
there.
should
And,
have a year or two.
and as Jamaicans, we want the best for her. We want to see her on the
so
podium.
let's thank
I want that 1, 2,
Dr.
3.
Neil Gardner and
Dahlia Palmer.
Yeah, bronze medalist at the just
Panam
concluded
Games.
Pan Am Games, taking the time out to come and talk with us on our cycling career.
Yes.
And I mean, next week we'll pick things up where we left off. We have to finish this topic. We have to talk more on track and field.
Yeah.
Christopher Taylor. Again, we have to talk about reggae boys.
Coach Alwinson not playing the big man in the middle.
Who's
So
the big man?
disappointing.
Tyreek McGee.
I don't like when they put out them
Anyway,
statements.
people.
You can't just call people big man.
BJQ is next.
People that get big man status. Everybody
All
have
right,
big
people,
man.
have a good afternoon from the Prime Alex. I'm your host, Dale.
And I'm Kane the Shop
I'm
watching.
O'Neal Faggy goals.
All right, see you next week. Same time. Peace.
All right, good.